But first tonight, the bush fought back today against Anthony Albanese's reckless energy policies and the damage caused by Labor's net zero magic carpet ride. Farmers did not hold back at the Herald Sun's Bush Summit in Ballarat, Victoria, as the PM took to the stage to answer questions.
Why are regional communities paying the cost for renewable energy? Where is the social licence? Where is the regulation to protect our communities, value our farmland and preserve our environment? How can state and federal governments justify enabling companies like Squadron Energy to tear our communities apart?
There hasn't been a new coal-fired power station begun for this century. That's just the truth. And there hasn't been any regulation stopping that. There is still nothing stopping that. Now someone wants to build a coal-fired power station, they can go and do it. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened because the market's determined that it doesn't stack up. We need...
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Well, he couldn't escape this, could he? Firstly, farmers are the collateral damage caught up in the race to renewables. Reckless governments want to carve up the land under the guise of saving the land from climate change. Make that make sense. And secondly, Anthony Albanese is totally talking nonsense. Labor is shutting down coal plants with no plan B for energy generation to keep the lights on in this country. The Australian Energy Market Operator has warned the slow rollout of key poles and wire projects will severely limit the amount of power big renewables can produce to replace Australia's soon-to-be shut coal plants. And gee, it just got worse from there for the PM.
We do need energy, and the cheapest form of new energy is renewables. So that's the first point that I'll make. The science told us that climate change was real.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll have to stop if you keep interjecting.
Told us that the science was real, and we are seeing what the science told us would happen, which is more extreme weather events and more intense. We've seen cyclones in non-tropical areas, like off the New South Wales North Coast and off the Queensland coast. We're seeing an increase. At the moment, we have drought, we have flooding, we have impact in South Australia and an impact in Western Australia. People need to be treated with respect, and that is what I am doing through my presence here, and I'll continue to engage, but I won't bullshit people. I won't say.
Well, imagine going to the regions and professing climate change and the science. How tone-deaf and out of touch is this guy? In regional New South Wales right now, there are plans to put up wind farms at a height of 270 metres. It is literally ripping local towns apart. Over in Victoria, legislation passed this week where farmers can be fined if they don't allow transmission workers onto their private property. So who is BSing who, Prime Minister? Because I would say he is BSing all of us. We were told our bills were going to go down under renewables. Instead, they are up by $1,000. We were told we were going to get $275 in energy bill relief. Instead, that pledge disappeared into the never-never. We were told Labor has a plan to keep the lights on. Instead, in the heat of summer, we were told in New South Wales to turn off our appliances because the grid was not coping and the East Coast could run out of gas by next year. We were told Labor is on track to meet energy targets. Instead, experts warn Australia is on track to miss targets because of low investment and output in grid-scale solar and wind. And not to mention, Australia needs 10,000 kilometres of high-voltage transmission lines by 2050, but the project is so far behind, only half of it will be delivered in the next decade. And the cost, of course, will inevitably be passed on to consumers on top of every other energy increase under this government. And of course, we were told we were building our renewables energy future. Instead, I have lost count at the amount of projects which have gone bust or have been delayed in the last few months alone around the country. So again, I will ask the question, who is BSing who, Prime Minister? And then it was Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen's turn to make her speech at the Bush Summit today. And gee, it went down like a lead balloon.
Families, farmers, small business owners too, many are doing it tough. Some of it is because of nature. Some of it is because of nature. The bush gives you something you simply can't find anywhere else. The fresh air, the quiet, the space. And that's why also we're supporting renewable energy projects as well that are driving investment.
I mean, surely she had to expect this. And I think that this farmer really summed up the sentiment. Jacinta Allen is holding farmers at ransom with a noose around their necks. Whether it be renewable energy zones, transmission lines, the emergency services tax, once again, as we're seeing around the country, it's the regions and the farmers, not the wealthy city elites whose lives are being destroyed by net zero. Labor is out running a tricky and dodgy experiment of transmission lines, giant wind turbines, green hydrogen, solar farms and batteries. So, PM, I tell you what, how about you listen to your own words? Stop your own BS and secure our future. Well, the Prime Minister has finally given us confirmation on when he will meet with US President Donald Trump.
Well, when you see it on your screens, you'll know it's confirmed.
Oh, good. Blink and you'll miss it. You'll find out if a meeting has been scheduled when you see it on your screens now. So, in other words, there is no update. Nada. There are still no formal plans for a meeting with our number one ally. And Albo is quite touchy on the subject. Have a listen to his reaction when asked if Defence Minister Richard Marles was in Washington this week to try and broker that very meeting.
Things that become an issue that just aren't. He went to the United States, he met the Vice President, he met the Defence Secretary, he met senior people in the Trump administration, and that's a good thing. And then he came home. That's a good thing.
Well, it just seems that everyone's having White House meetings except for Albo. According to The Australian, Richard Marles was rushed to Washington for high-level talks with US Vice President JD Vance to reassure the White House that Australia would lift its defence spending and pave the way for a meeting between Anthony Albanese and Donald Trump. And last month, you recall, Penny Wong was also rushed to Washington DC as well on some sort of weird peacekeeping mission, and she came back empty-handed. And look, who knows what even happened with Marles over there? Richard Marles claims that he had a formal meeting with his US counterpart Pete Hegseth. Marles's office published an Instagram post showing the two of them photographed together alongside JD Vance. But a US defence official said we can confirm that there was not a meeting. It was a happenstance encounter. And then hours later, the chief Pentagon spokesperson, Sean Parnell, told The Guardian that the encounter was in fact a meeting, walking back that previous statement and confirming it was coordinated in advance. But gee, this just shows to me sheer desperation by the Albanese government to try and shore up the relationship. And so really, Albanese is embarrassingly banking on a series of upcoming summits in the hope of catching up with Trump.
It's summit season, which sounds glamorous but isn't. You spend more time on a plane than you do on the land. And so we have a range of meetings, whether it's the UN, General Assembly, ASEAN, APEC, so we'll be running into each other regularly.
Running into each other? Like a casual hallway meeting? I mean, that's not the same as a formal sit-down meeting. But then again, this isn't the first time the PM has gaslit us into thinking that he's got it all under control.
When we have a meeting, we'll have a meeting.
Well, of course we will have meetings. There'll be a range of meetings between now and the end of the year with President Trump.
I refer to my previous 5,324 answers to that same question.
Yeah, look, it all comes down to leadership in the end, doesn't it? So Albo can keep flying ministers over on bridging the gap meetings. The more he equivocates, the bigger the gap between our alliance gets.